Come along, children. Now we're going to have a little music.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy RB3 here to knock out actually 3 reviews all at once. I'm actually headed to a flight in Chicago in about an hour. So, I just wanted to knock out some reviews. I know it's been a minute. How y'all doing? It's been a minute since I've seen y'all. A little life updates with me. I got a new job recently. Shout out to LA Sports Report. Shout out Dodgers Nation. That's the YouTube channel I work for. If you like Dodgers content, subscribe there. I'm not going to plug that anymore, though. You're probably asking, dang, where's Sabrina and Andres been at? They got new jobs too. They've been busy as well. And, same thing with Mr. Marin knows, John Marin, who I do Real Ones podcast with. He's been working the BET Awards lately. So everybody's been busy. Everybody's been getting to that money, and that's what we're all in Hollywood for. That's dope. Also, if you follow me on Twitter, you also have known, in February, my mom was in the hospital. She had dealt with some illnesses, and, things was kind of a struggle during that month. So things have gotten better since. And we actually have since released content on the channel. Sinners we've covered, Lilo and Stitch we've covered, but we haven't been as consistent as we wanted to. And I just want to switch that up and give y'all a little trifecta of reviews. I remember we used to do this back during the pandemic, just a little 3-in-1 kind of video. And, these last 3 movies I actually saw in theaters have been like a little murderer's row of great cinema. So I just want to talk about them all. I'm going to do them in order that I saw them. This is not the release order, probably. Actually, I don't know. But at first, I got to shout out Bring Her Back, a phenomenal horror movie. Honestly, probably my favorite horror movie of the year. It depends on what you consider Sinners. If you consider Sinners a horror movie, I will probably consider Sinners better than this film, just from my personal perspective. But in terms of like horror, the kind of horror that like really sticks with you, that gives you nightmares, that really gets inside of your body, crawls inside of your skin, Bring Her Back was an excellent movie. Raka Raka, if you know that YouTube channel, the Australian twin filmmakers that are behind that channel and behind this movie, and also Talk to Me, which came out a couple years ago, Danny and Michael Filippo, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. They deliver again with a shocking, thrilling, suspenseful, character-driven horror film that, just like Talk to Me, was addressing some real themes of like drug addiction, peer pressure, how teenagers often turn to drugs and turn to alternative methods of healing instead of just addressing grief directly and the consequences of that. Just like Talk to Me did that, this one does the same thing, but on a whole different level. This one's more about abuse and about the psychological trauma that abuse can bring down from generation to generation. And that's a fascinating perspective to bring to a possession movie. Again, this is a genre we've seen so many times before, exorcism, all that stuff. But this is, and I don't even really know if this is a possession movie per se. Actually, no, it's not. I mean, this film ranges in so many different genres. It kind of talks about so many different things. The young fella that plays Oliver, Jonah Wynn Phillips, just absolutely incredible. Like there's some of the most shocking body horror imagery I've ever seen with this kid doing. And then of course all the rest of the cast. Sally Hawkins in the lead role as Laura. Let your guard down around her in the beginning. You think she's playing this nice, wholesome, loving person. And yeah, stuff goes left. Another thing, abuse is a big theme of it. Gaslighting. You don't really see gaslighting come up as you do, I guess, in like Get Out. And a lot of these times, characters have to lie to other characters to get them out. But, they make my man Billy Barrett, who plays Andy, make him think he's on the roids, make him think he's pissing his pants in his sleep. So it's kind of crazy, they gaslight him crazy. But the main star of the film is Sora Wong, who plays Piper. Her character was blinded from a young age based on some, again, traumatic, abusive, generational stuff that unfortunately happened to her. But we see why her big brother, Andy, is so protective of her and wants to make sure that she's good. And, salute to the filmmakers for actually casting a person with like a, real disability without exploiting it. Instead, it actually adds a deeper, more complex layer to both her character, the story in general, and everything that this film has to offer. So, Bring Her Back is brilliant. Just an amazing film. If I had to rate it out of 10, it would honestly be like a 9. And then, talking about, again, Talk to Me versus Bring Her Back, I noticed that Talk to Me had a very kind of mixed cinema score. I think it was like in the C territory. On IMDb has like a 7.1 out of 10. Versus Bring Her Back has has a little bit of a higher IMDb score, had like a B. I'm sorry, had a higher cinema score, had a higher IMDb score. So it seems like this movie's more crowd appealing. Bring Her Back is, and I think they're both pretty traumatic, right? They both give you imagery and storylines that really sit with you and really eke under your skin. I think the ending of Talk to Me is definitely more bleak and more grave and dreary and dire, versus the ending of Bring Her Back is a little bit more optimistic, relatively speaking. So I think that's why it gets a little bit more favorability in people's hearts. I liked it a lot. I loved it. Next, I did a little double feature in the same day, man. Had to pull up, had to see my man Wes Anderson. You already know how much of a big Wes Anderson fan I am on this pod. Actually, I don't know if I really talked about Wes Anderson that much on the channel. But I love Wes Anderson, man. I love a lot of his films. Early work, Rushmore is great. Bottle Rocket is an amazing debut film. Royal Tenenbaums is one of the greatest comedies of all time, and Grand Budapest Hotel is a lot of people's entry point. My entry point was actually Moonrise Kingdom, and that was that was a phenomenal movie. Went back, watched Fantastic Mr. Fox. I was like, I can't believe I missed this movie when I was like actually younger to watch it as a cartoon for that demographic. Can't believe I missed that one, but I love that. Of course, Grand Budapest Hotel is a lot of people's entry point. I also love that film. That's actually my favorite Wes Anderson movie. But on the flip side, there's movies like Asteroid City that I didn't really love per se, or Isle of Dogs, which is also really good, but a little bit kind of dated in its stereotypes and representation. But fortunately, I'm here to report that the Phoenician Scheme is actually more on the better side of the Wes Anderson equation, at least in my opinion. Yeah, this one actually really works for me on a lot of levels. It's funny, it's comedic, it's witty. Benicio del Toro plays the lead, who is this shisty, kind of wannabe gangster dude who somehow talks his way in and out of situations very briskly. Kind of alludes to having done some pretty crazy, horrible things in the past, but it just all played for laughs, and they just, were able to laugh it off because the way the film is presented, the Wes Anderson tone. Comedic, very linear, perfect, very straight down the line, very stylistic in his portrayal, and you don't miss a beat of that in this one. There's a hilarious basketball sequence with Tom Hanks and Bryan Cranston. They're a couple of competing businessmen. Michael Cera was hilarious. In the beginning of the film, you're kind of like, why does his accent sound so fake? Why does he sound so why does he sound so out of step? But there's a very funny explanation to everything in this character of Bourne. The leading lady, Maya Thea Plimpton. Oh my gosh, I know I butchered that, but she was also great. She's playing this very straight down the line nun, not trying to really be in no funny business with her father, who's Benicio del Toro. We learned that pretty early on. I don't think that's a spoiler. He's like, yo, you my daughter. I would like you to start rolling with me so you can kind of learn the ways of the business, learn the ways of this kind of fake mafia life that he's living. The Phoenician Scheme is a scheme that he's trying to put together, trying to raise this money to make a canal in Central America. It's a very wild, weird, twisty kind of scheme that he's trying to pull off. Honestly, something that a lot of real life politicians or billionaires would try to pull off solo if they have the resources and the bread. But it's funny. It's funny that people are trying to get at him. People are trying to shoot at Benicio del Toro all the way across the board. Style. I mean, I can't really say anything more than this was just a really funny movie. It's one of Wes Anderson's better films. There's a shot in the beginning, the opening credits, where it's a static shot, overhead shot. Benicio del Toro in his bathtub, and all these people around him are moving stuff, and he's just kind of in that one spot. Great shot, great composition. My short film Urban Space Cowboy has a similar shot to that, but of course Wes Anderson. I'm just glad to see that Wes Anderson and me are referencing the same cinematic references and movies together, and at least I hope. But he probably doesn't care at all. But yeah, Phoenician Scheme, this was great too. The only downside is that, it's a lot of plot and it's a lot of setup. And just like some Wes Anderson movies, it doesn't really land in the most concrete way. I will say this does have a better landing than Asteroid City for me personally. I also think this has a better landing than The French Dispatch, which is another one of my favorite Wes Anderson movies. If you like Wes Anderson, if you love that style, this is right up your alley. Benedict Cumberbatch also plays a very funny role at the end too. I'm trying to think. This cast was actually stacked out. I mean, Willem Dafoe, Riz Ahmed, like I mentioned, Tom Hanks, Bryan Cranston, Jeffrey Wright, Scarlett Johansson. I mean, the list goes on and on. Really funny cast, really good all the way around. Yeah, I'm loving it. And this, if I had to rate it out of 10, this would probably be more like a 8, 8.5, maybe 8.25, just to like even it out. Capped off this amazing trilogy of movies with Ballerina, or should I say, from the world of John Wick, Ballerina, the official title of this film. They gotta put John Wick in there. Yeah, this was also a really fun movie. Now, as the Phoenician Scheme and Bring Her Back are definitely more headier, definitely more for the cinephiles out there for sure. This is more for the action fans. This is just all around, just balls to the wall action. I hate using that kind of word, for a female-led action movie. Oh, ballerinas to the wall. How about that? Yeah, this was good. This was really, really fun. Directed by Len Wiseman. There are some reshoots that were also done by Chad Stahelski, the homie who directed the original first John Wick, did some reshoots for this one. If I had to guess what the reshoots were, right off the top, I would say the adding of John Wick in this movie. That's the biggest kind of, I don't even know if I want to say criticism, because it did make it fun. It did add to the situation, but you could tell like his involvement in the plot was like non-existent, just non-existent, which is just fun. He comes in, he shoots some stuff. It's a fun little cameo that is really more than just a cameo. It's an actual supporting role. But you could tell that supporting role has literally nothing to do with the main plot line of this film. That being said, though, I'm not mad at this film at all. I think it does all the right things. It hits all the right beats. It doesn't need to be some deep character evaluation. We know what we're paying for when we see a John Wick movie. We want to see good action, and that's exactly what this film delivered on. I remember when me and Andres had the conversation about John Wick 4, how it was like an elevated action, kind of making art out of the action movie genre a little bit. And this one does that. Gorgeous cinematography, brilliant editing, very clear, concise action beats that you can see all the way around. Every time I see Lance Reddick in these movies, I get a little sad. RIP to that man, and I'm glad they got him into this role. And it kind of honestly makes it fit with the chronology. To my understanding, this one is set between number 3 and number 4. That's why John Wick's still alive. That's why Lance Reddick's character's still alive. Ian McShane comes back and is everything in there. So yeah, it's good. It's good. The plot, it's a John Wick movie. You already know what the plot is. The villain did something to harm Ana de Armas's character, Eve. She's getting revenge. It's just as simple as that. The thing that's kind of holding her back is that this dude who did that injustice to her has a deal with the director of the Ballerina program, played by Angelica Hudson. Really great to see her in this role too. So Ana de Armas got to go on this journey and get her revenge. Along the way, she ends up linking up with Norman Reedus. He plays a nice supporting role in this film. He has a daughter that almost kind of acts like a vessel for her to protect. Simple setup, simple plot, but it does the job, and it does the job really, really well. I really don't have anything else to say on this movie either, except that great cinematography, great acting, great editing. The thing with these John Wick movies, I always say, it's like Oscar level acting with like Tubi level dialogue, but with Mad Max style action. Like, it's like so all over the spectrum with the quality, but it just does what you need to, be satisfied. So yeah, just in the same vein as like Phoenician Scheme, I'm giving this one an 8. 3 solid movies back to back. Summer's hot, summer's popping. I didn't even talk about Mission Impossible. I dug that one too. It wasn't great. The first 20 minutes is kind of atrocious. And yeah, I watched the second time. I actually watched Mission Impossible twice. Second time I watched it, it did fade on me. I'm not gonna lie. First time I saw it, I was like, man, this is great. The plane stuff, Second time I saw it, But this is not a review of that. This is a review of Bring Her Back,
Come along, children.
Ballerina, and the Wes Anderson joint, Phoenician Scheme. Thank y'all for tapping in to First Cut. This is your boy RB3. I gotta hop on this plane. I will be talking to y'all more. Join the channel. Be a member. If you want to be a member, I'll be shouting out all members at the beginning of each video. And yeah, support us. Subscribe, hit like, comment. Let us know what your thoughts on any 3 of these movies. For RB3, y'all. For First Cut, y'all. I'm peacing out. Peace.
Only one can remain. It's either me or you. Only one can remain. It's either me or you.